Hi. So, uh, in my last video, somebody commented asking about ketamine infusions, and asking like, do I still do them? Do they work? So I sort of decided to talk a little bit about that and just my experience with ketamine infusions in general and some tips and tricks. uh, so for my background, uh, I've I was diagnosed with depression when I was 9 years old. I had written a poem that was pretty. I mean, it was an emo. It was a very emo poem. I didn't know at the time, and I'd like turned it in, and my teacher called my parents and were like, "What? This is a," and they sent me to a child psychiatrist, and that was just the most awkward thing in the world to me because I didn't know what he wanted from me. uh, and then like it got very very bad around the time I hit puberty, largely because of all of the gender dysphoria I started having. Although that's not what I didn't know that's what was wrong. And I've been on a lot of different medications, and I still take some. They help a little bit, but nothing really. Nothing. I, the thing that was most prevalent was just these intrusive suicidal thoughts. Um, it would just like it would be just sort of always in the back of my mind, uh, and just like if something would go wrong, or if I would start like think about something, like if I had a problem that I felt like I couldn't really solve, and be like, fuck, just fucking kill yourself, man. Let's just kill yourself. You this sucks. I was deeply unhappy. I didn't really I didn't have friends. I uh had home stuff was very very bad, and yeah, I didn't see anything getting any better. So and I also, let's see, I started cutting myself when I was 15, and that's kept that up for a decade, I guess, uh, which got quite serious. I have had more stitches than I can count, and then there was one. I had a suicide attempt in 2011, which was sort of culminated from just a lot of really shitty things, and obviously I made it. But in 2015, when I started, uh, I had I had to leave the living situation I had in upstate New York, and I was living with my parents in Westchester, but they had decided to move to Norfolk, largely because my mom's sister had Alzheimer's, and it was getting to the point where she couldn't really be alone, and my mom wanted to be there to help take care of her, which is cool. But I didn't want to go to Norfolk. I didn't even want to. I mean, like I figured, like honestly, I'm a very typical New York snob. I didn't want to leave, uh, and I was thinking just like fuck. I already like I felt like every time I had tried to build a life for myself, once in Vermont and then in New Paltz, that it just hadn't worked out. And I hadn't come out yet as like trans. I had sort of cottoned on to the fact that like I wanted to, but I just didn't. I had brought it up to some of my friends in New Paltz, and they were not kind about it. Like one of them said, he said, "I'll murder you if you do anything to your tits," and another was like, "Yeah, you'd make an ugly guy." It was just shitty. Uh, so I had decided. I don't remember how I found out about ketamine infusions, but I had spoken to my parents, and they had agreed to pay for my initial 6 infusions, which is I'm eternally grateful for because they're not cheap, and they're not covered by insurances, even mine, and I had very good insurance. Uh, and I figured, well, I'll try this, and if it doesn't work, I'll kill myself before they leave, and then that'll be fine. I'd given it a lot of thought. So, let's see, the first infusion, I had experienced self-compassion once before during a guided meditation at my therapeutic boarding school, but never, like, that had required quite a bit of effort. But it just suddenly happened. Like, I didn't feel like, oh man, it's I don't want to, it's definitely difficult to describe, especially because like it's going to be different for everybody. But I've had there are a lot of experiences that I've been, one time I dissociated, and it felt like I don't want to say like my spirit or whatever, because this is kind of woo, but it felt like, I guess mentally or whatever, I unfolded my wings and like a crow and like flew out of the building, and even all the way back to my neighborhood, and like that was awesome. And the way I think of it now is like I'm returning to the source, and by that I'm not even sure what I mean, but it's not the experience that you have during the session that helps. It's as far as I understand, it facilitates neuroplasticity. So every time you every time you do a behavior, you get these little neural pathways, and the more often you perform a behavior, the deeper these neural pathways get, and the deeper they get, the more difficult it is to stop doing that, and the more ingrained the behavior is. And this includes, as far as I understand, this includes like thinking patterns as well. So what the ketamine infusion does is, and I can't get terribly scientific here, but it sort of resets these neural pathways. So they don't, like, after my initial series of infusions, I was able to, first of all, I was able to conceive of myself not wanting to kill myself, because I had, it would always in the background, and suddenly it was like, oh, I know what it's, I didn't know what it was like not to want to, and that was cool. And just like, but also it's almost as though when you have depression, you are not on the same level. I don't want to say you're not on the same level as anyone else, but you have to climb out of a hole before you do anything. And just climbing out of the hole is so exhausting that usually by the time you do, you have no spoons left to do the thing. And this, I felt like this took me out of the hole. So I felt much more able to like start making the changes in my life that would sort of keep the depression at bay in a way. Like, it was easier to get out of bed in the morning, and I felt better about myself, and I felt that I deserved nice things more. So it was easier to pursue nice things. Let's see. What else? I still get infusions down in Norfolk. I get booster usually every like 3 or 4 months, depending on like how bad it gets. Usually I get one in January because things get quite bad around then. And then sometime in late spring, early summer, or late summer, and then in like September, October, which is when things get quite bad for me again. So but okay, so I pay $400. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, $500 per session. I have a new place now, per session. And the clinic that I go to now is really cool. They try to give you a good setting, and this is the tips and tricks part, I guess. you're going to want to be listening to music. I have a playlist that I'll change up a couple times. It's got like the soundtrack to Princess Mononoke and just a lot of instrumental music that uh, is fun for me. Like, and let's see, it doesn't necessarily have to be calming, but like it does help to not like I prefer the more instrumental stuff for this. And you're gonna want like I would I would like tie a bandana or something around my eyes. I found that if I could block all light, that sort of enhanced the experience, I guess. I get pseudo visuals sometimes, but not really. And then at this clinic I go to, they have rooms that are different colors. And then like they have like weighted blankets, and I think they have like kinetic sand for you to like mess with. But I bring my prayer beads because that can be grounding just to have an object in your hand. And I guess so. I would recommend ketamine infusions to anybody who has been struggling with depression for a very, very long time, especially with suicidal ideation, and who have tried therapy and medication and have found that the depression is still really interfering with their lives. Like, I wouldn't recommend it if you haven't tried therapy, honestly. And that's largely because you can heal yourself from a lot of stuff, and yeah, so there's that. Let's see. There's like an online like ketamine network that can help you find a clinic. Although it's like they've since I started getting them, they've like cropped up everywhere, which is really cool. Because I mean, when I first started saying that I wanted to be a psychedelic therapist in like 2009, people would look at me like I had grown 3 heads. But now it's actually like a viable career choice. And okay, that's another thing. Ketamine, the ketamine infusions, it's not the same as a psychedelic trip. Like when I use like LSD or mushrooms as part of my therapeutic process, that is very much about the experience. It's about like facilitating introspection and like not resetting, just that's about the process that you go through while you're on it. Whereas the ketamine infusions, it's much more about what it does for you after it's over. Let's see. I do not recommend any sort of prescription for ketamine. I had a prescription for it for some time, and I ended up becoming very psychologically addicted to it, and it got bad for some time. I really don't want to talk about that because there are certain things that I feel comfortable broadcasting on the internet and certain things that I don't. And I no longer do. Now I just get the infusions. Let's see. I know that there are now, like, I don't know, companies that you can just have ketamine sent to you, like Troches or something. And that's not a bad idea. Although it can be, I don't know, it might be helpful just to feel safe, I guess. Although it's not like you're going to feel unsafe. All right. I guess that's all that I wanted to say. Don't use street ketamine. Just don't. It's don't buy it that way. I mean, just from a logistical perspective, it's probably cut like 4 or 5 times. And also the people who use and sell ketamine are, I don't want to make a judgment on it, but like they tend not to be very good at having a job, like taking the drug dealing seriously as a job, you know, like they're just very irresponsible and usually in a very bad place themselves. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. I hope that was helpful. Um, and all right, I'll go. Bye.